Hey guys, it is the Wednesday show with myself and Mike Ristano. Mike, how's it going, my friend?
It's going. Wednesday again, right? Seems like we blink and here we are,
The Wednesdays do creep up, man. Like I was looking at my calendar, I was like, oh my god, it's Wednesday.
right?
I was like, we got to be ready to rock tonight. We've got we got a little bingo going, and I do have my daughter's in the background. She's in her uh, I guess Girl Scouts or whatever it is meeting that she's got going on Zoom. So she might be chatting for a little bit, but I want to give some high fives and some digital high fives, I would say, to our guys in chat. We got Kyle Lou out there. I see Mark Schoen. What's going on, Mark? We got a lot to talk about, guys. We are a 6-3 team.
We are.
We just beat a not a great Texans team, but a I think this Texans team was one that was like they can't be as bad as their record, you know? They just can't. So that was where I was looking at like this could be a slight scary one, but we passed the test. What were your thoughts on that, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, we said it last week. This was a game that they had to, you know, quote unquote, take care of business to keep to keep the train rolling, and they did. And I think that if you look at the weather, I mean, it seems like it's gonna be another one of those games. I mean, it's Wednesday, so it could change at the drop of a hat, especially out there on the lake. But anyway,
Mhm.
regardless, I'm waiting for like a game with normal conditions. I mean,
Yeah,
I'll even take 45 with a light breeze, out of the southwest. It just
crisp
I
but not rainy and
yeah,
gross.
like I it's hard. Like even when I went back and was watching the all 22, like it's hard to really assess the passing game. I mean, we're talking about 2 weeks in a row where it was nasty. And were there a couple of things that I did see that I thought, huh, yeah, but I mean, I mean, there wasn't really that big of a sample size. So I mean, that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, it was interesting. We didn't have to pass the ball, thank God.
Yeah,
Um, I think we learned our lesson in the Raiders game about what it's like to pass the ball or to have to pass the ball in bad conditions.
yeah,
And luckily, we kept it close the whole game, and we're in a position where, it's like one of those who's got the ball last type things.
yeah.
And once again we closed. That's the exciting thing is like we have a team that is not that that hasn't struggled to win late games.
Yeah.
And that I think is the thing that gives me a lot of hope. And I say it every week. Good teams beat bad teams. We beat a bad team, right? So if we would have lost to the 2-6 or 2-5, whatever they were before they came in, Texans, then it would have been like, look, maybe we're not that competitive.
Yeah.
Maybe the only thing we can do is get lucky in some of these games. But I think we've established ourselves right now in that second tier
Hmm.
of teams. We are definitely in the playoff hunt. It's not like, you know, like 4-4 in the playoff hunt mathematically. We're legitimately in the playoff hunt right now.
Yeah.
And because we've beaten teams, and the Raiders game, it's not like they blew us out. It was
No.
just a weird one,
Yeah.
you know,
They were. Yeah.
any
Uh,
given Sunday kind of game.
yeah. It's 2 points. One, I don't know if you saw, and we'll get to our guys, but I was just reading that pretty much from what I understand, the majority of the Raiders defense is on the COVID list. I don't know if you saw that.
Didn't.
But and that's sort of a pretty unique development as we go through the week, because obviously we're chasing them in the standings. They play the Chiefs, so um, you know you don't want somebody to have a misfortune that way. However, you got to scratch and claw and get what you get. get what you want. But with that being said, then you look at what happened today and you figure, I mean, we've got our kicker, our long snapper, and Jake Conklin, or Jack Conklin rather, on the COVID list. So hopefully, you know, and I didn't quite understand how that worked at first, but you know, as long as we get some negative tests from here to I would assume Saturday, Sunday morning, whatever, they're off the list, and you know, we'll just be without Janovich. But yeah, that was. It's like, tell me what you think, but I feel like
I'm nervous
it's like
about
Russian. Yeah, it's like Russian roulette every time you open up your phone in the morning because you don't know what you're gonna get.
Big shout outs to Ryan Burlow, Kid Wilson, my dude, Browns fan, 1977 in the house. So big shout out to everybody. What's going on, guys? Yeah, I get worried about that too, man. Like I'm. It's funny because like you're the one who typically sends it to me quick, like first, like, oh, did you hear the news? And I'm like, oh crap.
I set you up too, don't I?
Let me see what this is. So you're beating me to the punch a lot of time, but I have Twitter open pretty much all day, unless I'm in meetings or stuff, or like really, you know, got my head down, you know, at work. I pretty much have Twitter open all the time, so I usually do see the things that they're happening. But you know, the COVID stuff is it's gonna happen. You know, it's like we're gonna probably at some point this season lose a star player or so, but hopefully the COVID gods and the injury gods are looking at us going, we've already taken Nick Chubb away from you for several games. We've already now taken OBJ away from you for the rest of the season. So like, you know, we've sacrificed the blood at this point. Like, leave us alone.
Yeah.
Leave us alone.
Yeah. I mean, it's a couple of weeks now. Well, I mean, more than that. You figure, you know, as far as my memory serves me, you had Baker go on the COVID list, and then now Janovich, and you know what? Here's what I don't understand, and maybe I'm just ignorant, but let's go back to Janovich, right?
Okay.
So he's on the field. I think he played like 28 snaps, I think it was, between special teams and offense. So he's on the field, he's in the huddle with all these guys, right? So he tests positive. He goes into the protocol, and they do their quote unquote contact tracing, and they found that there were no close contact, if you will, and everybody's cleared, facilities open. Then today, a staffer tests positive, and now those three dudes go into, you know, on the COVID list because they're considered close contact. That just blows my mind. Like, how does that work? Like, what does that mean?
I can't make any sense of it.
No, it doesn't. And I thought it was just me, but I mean, you're making me feel better now because it makes no sense to me.
There's no sense of it. I think they're just trying to make every precaution, or they're trying to at least give the impression that it is. So I'm looking at chat, and they're saying that Conklin and our lawn snapper are on the COVID list, and then Parkey is down too.
Yep.
So
now,
I mean, does that just mean that they're in contact, so they have to be quarantined, or does that mean it doesn't mean they have COVID? It just means like they're in contact.
Yeah. So if you take Janovich, for instance, he actually tested positive. So and you know what? I'm sorry. I missed Hubbard last week. So when you take Hubbard and you take Janovich, so you're talking Hubbard on Friday, Janovich on Monday.
Yep.
Because they tested positive, those guys are out at least the 10 days. Now, as far as Parkey and Huglet, I think his name is, the long snapper, and Conklin, as far as those three go, they just were, quote unquote, in close contact. I mean, they could have just walked by the guy, I guess. I don't know, because I don't know what any of this means.
What does this mean? Does it mean that like they were just like, were they in the sauna together? Like,
right.
What does that mean?
What constitutes closer than being in a huddle with the other guys for
making physical contact. I mean, I don't know. My kids, like when I drive them into school, like every other day, it's almost like random. They get
yeah,
the little, the magic wand thing that they just like click on their head to see if
yeah,
they, as we're driving to drop them off. So I mean, there's like people are just taking every precaution possible. I think if you're in a position where you could have some liability if something happens, I think they're at least just putting on the facade that they're actually
yeah.
trying to do something. But I mean, it just it doesn't make any sense to me. And I actually made a meme back, and I never published it for whatever reason. It was just saved in my saved tweets,
Yeah.
about like the Browns being when they were 4-1, and
Yeah.
being like the Browns are 4-1, and then like but thinking like COVID could come and
Here
grab
comes,
them.
yeah.
And
It's been grabbing.
you know what? It's like every team's going to be dealing with. It's almost like I don't know if you watched like the NBA. I didn't really watch the NBA. I thought it was super weird watching the NBA
I
this
didn't
year.
either.
But watching the finals with the Lakers, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, like is I guess it's an NBA championship because they were the last one, and it's not their fault. But
Right.
it's also like,
Yeah, it was
is it?
bizarre.
I mean, like,
No,
is
I
whoever
agree.
wins the national champion, like with Trevor Lawrence, who gets COVID, and then Clemson loses, like, does that mean like Clemson's not the best team, or is it because he got COVID and he couldn't play?
Yeah, no, I agree. And to go 1 second back, those three guys, as long as they continue to have negative tests, they are able to play because they didn't test positive. They were just around somebody that was, as opposed to Hubbard and Janovich, who did test positive and they're out for at least 10 days. But um, yeah, it's it's one big mess. I and not to get ahead of ourselves. I mean, I don't want to say I'm worried about Sunday, but it's a big game, and the Eagles are better than their record shows, and they're getting healthy at the right time. So the last thing that we can do is afford to, I mean, be without our Pro Bowl right tackle. I mean, did you see who and it's comical, and I think the some of the guys in the chat would find it funny too. But when I found out who the long snapper backup is, I found it to be very humorous. And I don't know, do you know who it is? And
No,
if you don't, take one guess. Who who would possibly be the backup long snapper? I'll give you a hint. He likes to tweet. And he probably should worry about getting better at his first position before he's worrying about being the long snapper.
Mac Wilson.
Winner.
Wow. I was gonna go with. I was gonna. That, I mean, that's weird. Like I would have thought
I know.
I would have thought Keenum. I would have thought maybe like Hooper. I don't know. Something like that. It doesn't make any sense that Mac Wilson would be our long snapper. This
And
is
apparently he played fullback once or twice at Alabama, and he was excited about that. And he tweeted about put me in at fullback, and I just
who did that?
Mac.
He said about
He
putting you
yeah
in there.
he put a video of himself at Alabama blocking on the goal line and was like, hey, I could do that too. It's like, yeah, okay, 33.4. Take that and work on it.
Dude, did you see the? I mean, did you see the tweet that the Browns put out, with Mac Wilson and Taki jumping?
I almost made a comment, and
I almost had
I left
mentioned
it
you.
alone.
I came so close to ad mentioning you. I was like, I just want you to see this.
I saw it, and there were so many things going through my mind, and I was like this.
You should have just put 37 dash like 39 or whatever it was.
Yeah, like dude, I so wanted to, because it was the caption that went along with it too, like something about that they're flying or whatever. I'm like, wingless, they're flying.
Dude, those I mean, it's tough. Like, cause part of me wants to just be like, hey, every Browns player is amazing and we love everybody because we really do. I mean,
We do.
it's not that we don't like the players or we're not supporting them.
Right.
It's just that Pro Football Focus makes it really easy for us to go. There's the analytics. I mean,
Yeah, right. It's right there.
they're actually putting traceable metrics behind what we see on the field every game. But you're right about that. I'm looking at the Eagles now. Eagles, the NFC East leading Eagles with a 3-5-1 record tied the
Yeah.
Bengals, who just lost to the 2-6. No, I'm sorry, 2-7 Giants. They lost to this last weekend. The Eagles are. Here's the weird thing about the Eagles right now. If it was a normal game, meaning like no weather is going to be an issue, it's going to be just complete in a vacuum type game. Carson Wentz would probably throw the ball 40 times against us, maybe
Oh yeah.
more. They're not running the ball very often, and when they do, they're not running it well. So they don't. I mean, they don't have anybody who scares us from a running back perspective. To be honest, they don't really have too many people that scare us from a receiving perspective either. I know the Fulgham kid's all right. Um,
Now remember, Miles Sanders is back.
is he okay?
Yeah.
So that could.
They're yeah, they're getting healthy at the right time.
What about Ertz? What's going on with him?
He's back too.
He's back. Okay, so their weapons are going to be there then.
Yep.
His throwing weapons are going to be there. But Carson Wentz has had a almost like indefensible season.
Yeah, he's been
If it was Baker, like the press would have been out with pitchforks in front of his house.
yeah, he's been pretty bad this year.
I still get comments, man. I got a comment today like Baker didn't do anything. It was all Chubb. Baker sucks. Like in my YouTube comments, and I'm like, okay, I don't know what to tell you, but he's
Yeah.
not. If we have a quarterback who let's just say all things aside, we have a quarterback who's not losing us a game. I'm okay with that. You could make an argument that the Steelers and Ravens game, you could put them on Baker.
Yep.
Because he had bad interceptions that we almost couldn't come back from. It was that bad, especially the Steelers game with the pick six.
Yeah.
The Raiders game, I'm not putting that on Baker. Our receivers didn't catch the ball.
Yeah. I
Like,
agree.
what is he supposed to do? He puts it right in their hands. And then the rest of the games we've won. And I don't care how. I don't care if he throws 9 interceptions. We win the game. We win the game.
Yeah.
So statistically speaking, I'd like to know what the PFF was for Baker this last week because he didn't statistically have anything overwhelming, but I can't imagine he did terrible.
Yeah, I don't know what his game grade was. Could see what he's at though.
But from a standings perspective, guys, keep looking at the standings, and I know we look at this a lot when we look ahead to the next games that we're about to play and everything. But to see us at 6-3, my dad was talking to me. I think he texted me this morning. He's like, there have been how many seasons have we watched with the Browns? The total wins of the entire season was 6 or less.
Yeah.
A lot. And you know what? I want to take a moment to just as an appreciation moment for not only the work that Kevin Stefanski's doing from a win-loss perspective, and really thinking and putting us in a position to win and allowing his players, his playmakers, to make the plays. Because I could say he's been doing that all season, whether it was with OBJ when he was healthy, with Kareem and Nick, allowing them to go hog wild, not being afraid to call a draw or a running back. I wouldn't call it a draw. It was more just like a regular run on 3rd and 9.
Yeah.
And those are the plays that when they don't work, people are like, "What the hell are you doing?" But and in the past, when we didn't have the kind of athletes at running back, we would try those things and get stuffed or get 3 yards or get 7 yards when we needed 9. And now you need 9 yards, and Kareem Hunt's getting you 12. So Stefanski, I would just want to give it appreciation to, not only for what he's doing on the field, but also, Mike, this is like a COVID year. Like, even experienced coaches are probably struggling with this. Is a first-year head coach.
Yeah, he's the epitome of cool, calm, and collected. Like, even when you, think about it. Even a veteran coach, he would deserve to be a little bit frazzled right now after, how many weeks in a row of either someone going on the list or somebody testing positive.
Yep.
And this guy is just, he's a professional a pro's pro. I mean,
Yeah.
he really is. I mean, the way I've never seen somebody carry themselves with that type of his demeanor is just
It's like eerily confident.
it really is. Like and I paused there for a second because I'm trying to see if I can, correlate that into somebody else. And I got to be honest with you, I really can't because he's just got it together. I mean, I don't even know how else to explain it. And I mean,
Yeah.
everything you said was extremely spot on. I mean, for a guy that took the job and, weeks later, essentially, you know, COVID came out of, I don't want to say out of nowhere because we sort of knew about it, but I mean, it ramped up. And I mean, he had no, you know, rookie mini camp. He had no OTAs. He had, you know, a training camp that was pushed back how many weeks. And the way he's handled it, and I mean, he's got the team at 6-3, and for all intent and purpose, going up against an Eagles team that that they should win.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't. You look at the Raiders Chiefs game, and it's early. I mean, we know that, but I mean, if you're looking like a week to week, I mean, you look at the Raiders Chiefs game. I don't see the Raiders winning that game. So we handle our business, and the Chiefs take care of the Raiders. And guess what? We're back in the hunt, and we're actually, you know, inside of that playoff bracket now. So
And the Ravens, I think they have they have the they have the Titans.
yeah,
So they have a bit of a challenge,
yep,
you know. So the Ravens also have I mean, beyond the Titans and us. Okay, so the back half of the Ravens season goes Titans, Steelers, then they have the Cowboys at home. That should be a walk. Then they have to come to Cleveland. Who knows? Because if you judge by the first game, but they're going to see a different Browns team,
yeah,
not with OBJ and with that many more games that we've actually come together as a team to start winning and gel as an organization. Then they get the Jags at home.
yep.
Then they have the Giants at home. Then they have the Bengals in Cincinnati to round out the season, and they should be fine by then. But if you look at the other teams in contention, so it's tough to say who's going to win the division, the Colts or the Titans. If we're rooting for somebody to win the division, we're probably rooting for the Titans, I would assume, because we would have the tiebreaker head to head against the Colts. But I don't know if that's the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
If we both end up 10-6, and we don't have the tiebreaker after having beat them, I'm going to lose my mind.
Yeah, it almost reminds me of sometimes these tiebreaker kind of things. Like sometimes it always reminds me of like fantasy football where you're like, why is this person ahead of me? I beat them, but it goes by like points scored. And it seems like the playoff system in the NFL sort of has that type of feel to it too. But
Yeah,
so Ryan in the chat said head to head's the first tiebreaker, and
good.
that's
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 what
what I'm thinking
that's
as
what.
well.
Yeah, customary thinking would say that, right?
Yeah, you would think.
But looking at we have to play the Titans too. So if we beat the Titans, then we basically take care of the AFC South.
Yeah.
With tiebreakers.
Yep.
We lose to the Raiders, which is a problem. I'm also looking at the Dolphins. I don't think we have to worry about the Dolphins, guys. They have the Broncos, which let's just say they beat the Broncos. So they win 7. They have the Jets, they win 8. They have the Bengals at home. It's not a gimme. At this point in the season, it's not a gimme against the Bengals. The
Nope.
Chiefs at home, probably not going to win that. The Patriots at home,
Tough one.
I mean, they just beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
And it's in Miami. They always play them tough. That's a coin flip. That could go either way. Then they have to go to Las Vegas, and then they have to go to the Bills to end the season. I think that's going to be the real problem for them.
Yeah,
Those last 4
agree.
games of the Chiefs, Patriots, Raiders, and Bills is going to be, unless they are for real, is going to be a really tough end of the season. And then you look at us. and we've got the Jags. The Jags and Eagles. So we're softer here.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the Titans, which is going to be a challenge because they're just another one of these teams that's in the hunt. And they played us tough. What, last year or two years ago?
Yeah.
Last year they played us really tough that first game. They just, kicked us in the neck.
That was one of those ones you never expected. I would have never thought that was going to be the outcome of that game. We were flying high on the Freddy juice at that point.
Well, I still think back to the game. I've never seen as many penalties called in a football game than we saw in that game.
What was there, like 18 penalties or something like that? It was something astronomical like that.
Yeah, it was insane, and they were on critical plays.
Oh yeah.
They were like we do something great, like that long Nick Chubb run that we had this week. To end this game, they'd be like holding.
Yeah.
And we would just be like every play. It felt like for the first 6 games they were nitpicking. I actually so I work for a social media company, and I went and I did a listening report where I looked up how many fans were talking about like about NFL refs and other teams, and it was like the Browns talking on Twitter about the refs was like 60% of the conversation. The next closest was like the Cowboys at like 30. So there was something we were like, there was an anomaly there.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the other reasons. I was complaining and saying it was a discipline problem, but who knows? It might have just been the refs were just, out to get us.
Yeah, you never know.
You don't know. But we have the Eagles and the Jags, right? So we have 2 games, just like the Texans, that we're like, we just got to take care of business. We're the better team on paper.
It's funny because, and we touched on it last week. Well, I know we touched upon the captaincy thing each week, and we weren't a fan of that, but
yeah.
I think we did touch on the whole 1-0 thing last week, and I know some people don't like it, but I mean it's really a great battle cry, mantra, whatever you want to call it, because I mean, especially this year, I mean it's a perfect recipe. Hey, we go, we're not concerned about the playoffs. We're not concerned about X, Y, and Z. Got to go 1-0.
Yeah.
And it's true. It really is true, especially this year.
Well, it's basically just putting the psychology of you can only affect the things you can control.
Yeah.
We can't control the Jaguars 2 weeks from now. We can't control the Titans 3 weeks from now. We can't control what the rest who wins the other games. We can only take care of what's directly in front of us, who is the Eagles, who have to come to Cleveland.
Yep.
Right? So this is going to be another one of those games that like weather is probably going to impact it. Now we've had 2 games in a row. First game we didn't do so well. This last game we adapted and almost did the same thing the Raiders did to us. Yep. I actually want to look at that from a time of possession, which was the ugliest time of possession I'd ever seen. The Raiders had the ball for 37 minutes. In this last game against the Texans, we had the ball for 33 minutes. Right? So, I mean, we controlled the clock and we won the game on the ground. And that's what this Browns team was designed to do. It wasn't designed to have Baker throw a whole bunch of times. And put it up to our receivers. We have talented receivers, but we have 2 arguably, in terms of who's healthy right now, not taking in Saquon and Christian McCaffrey, we arguably have the 2 best running backs in the league.
It's funny you said that because I was just reading something earlier, and Sal Palantonio, I think, was on Browns Daily. I think it might have been where he said it, but he basically was talking about, hey, if I had to put a team together today, and I had a list of 25 guys. He basically said, you've got 3 guys in Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb, and Myles Garrett that are like at the top of my list to start a team. And, obviously they're on our team. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's, we should be able to, if that was was a precursor to the way the rest of the year is going to go, albeit the line is healthy. And those 2 guys are healthy in the backfield, but if we can run like that, consistently and stay healthy, you know, it, all we need is a game manager, a quarterback. We just need Baker to take care of the ball. And you know what the worst part is though, and I think you'll agree, if the defense was just a little bit better with our offense, you'd be like, you know what, we're a shoo-in for the playoffs with this week's schedule down the pike. I really feel that.
Yeah.
But with this defense, but I will say, I mean, what a gem and a steal we got in Harrison. I mean,
Yeah.
he's one of those two that we've solidified that one safety spot. I believe, and he has helped. I mean, the defense played well last week. I mean, granted, we were in the middle of a windstorm, but I got to tell you that didn't seem to bother uh, uh, Watson that much because I mean, I thought he threw the ball well.
Yeah. I
But I
mean,
thought the defense played better. Yeah,
when you give up 7 points in a game,
yeah,
you got a high probability of winning, and it made it so we only had to put up 10. Now,
yeah,
Chubb could have scored, could have been 16,
yeah, absolutely.
16 to 7, or I guess it would have been 17 because it would have made us kick the extra point. So it could have been 17-7. So it's a little bit misleading just by looking at the paper because we basically we took that Raiders score 16-6, and it would have been 17-7. It was the same game. We just did the same thing the Raiders did to us.
I mean,
so the formula is there in cold weather. Give it to your running backs and make them wear out there because honestly, that last drive, they were just tired.
yeah,
There's no other reason that you let Nick Chubb hit the edge like that, unless you can't get to him. Because he did juke 2 guys.
yeah, he put a move on that safety. That was
He did. He did the Nick Chubb thing. The first guy he kind of juked, and the second guy he hopped and then he hit the edge, and then that speed that we see coming out of Nick Chubb, which is a little misleading because you don't understand
really
how fast he is.
I mean, just to put that little, it's like that. It was like a little stutter hop, but man, he put that guy on skis, and then it was like boom, right, full speed.
Yeah,
and that was, I mean, because when you were looking at that play, even when you look at the replays, if I showed you a replay of that and you didn't know what happened yet, there is no way. 9 times out of 10, you would say to me,
he's stuffed.
Yeah, he either got tackled or he got pushed out of bounds. And I mean, it was beautiful. Really, I mean, there's nothing more to say.
And we've had how many games like that where we had to make a big play at the end and we made it. OBJ making a big play, Denzel Ward making a big play, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt making big plays. These guys are doing it. Yeah. And I mean, it doesn't matter what team you are, it doesn't matter who you are. If you have that much talent on the field, these guys are legitimately good.
Yeah.
And if you look at the Browns' talent, and then against the Eagles, or better yet, put us against like the other teams that are in contention, like the Dolphins. We're already taking care of the Colts, so we know we've proven that we can beat the Colts.
Yeah.
That the other team, like if we can beat the Titans, I think we're in good shape. And the Bengals beat them.
Yeah.
So we have to go to Nashville, which is, it's an away game, but is it? Yeah, I mean it's well, I mean I don't know if the fans are going to be there. I don't know what the situation is in Nashville, but it's not going to be like a typical away game. But it's still like you got to travel. Yeah. So there's a little bit, and it's not that I don't know how far that is. It's got to be a short plane ride from Cleveland to Nashville. But we got that, and that's going to be the next big test to see if we're like that's almost going to be like a playoff primer, because we should beat the Eagles. We should be 7-3. We should beat the Jags. We should go 8-3. Then we get the 2 tough ones, just like the Eagles do, or I'm sorry, just like the Dolphins do. 2 tough ones with the Titans and Ravens. Then we get the Giants and Jets, and then we finish up with the Steelers. And I think, my dad were talking about this, and I just think it'd be interesting if we need that game to get into the playoffs. and the Steelers need it for home field advantage to clinch home field. That's going to be a playoff game. I mean, that atmosphere, they'll probably flex that game.
I would think they'd have to, yeah.
Because there'll just be too much on the line to leave it be like a regular 1:00 game.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Somebody, I think it was Kid Wilson in the chat, was talking about Peoples-Jones and Higgins. And I got to tell you, the two of them looked, again, there weren't that many passes, but watching them run routes, especially Hollywood, getting some separation. Like they definitely look good. And I think that, you know, obviously we didn't want OBJ to go down. He's down. There's nothing we could do about it. But, you know, if you look at it from a standpoint of, hey, how do we make lemonade out of lemons? You could say that, you know, these guys are especially, you know, Peoples-Jones being a rookie, but they're you know, they're getting quality reps now. And I mean, arguably, you know, DPJ made a nice catch last game, and Higgins is Higgins, and you know, they're looking good. So at least we, you know, come next year, there's nothing that has said that OBJ is not going to be back. I think that, like we talked about last week, that Barry made it pretty darn clear that, you know, OBJ is their guy, and I think that, you know, even though it was tragic we lost him, I think that, you know, we'll be better off for it next year. And it's kind of funny that I say next year, but we really don't have to worry about next year right now because we're 6-3. But it's a nice, you know, look forward to, but not have to really look forward because, you know, we're 6-3, and I mean, for all intent and purpose, we should be 7-3 by Sunday night.
Yeah. Well, guys, you mentioned Higgins. I just feel like he doesn't drop the ball.
No.
I feel like he has some of the most underrated hands on our team. And it's like, is he going to make the OBJ? Is he going to hit the grand slam? No, but he has ice in his veins when he gets down to the red zone.
Yeah,
like he's not afraid to catch the ball in the end zone, and very sure-handed when he does it. He's one of those guys that I love having him on the Browns. And you know, a redemption story and everything. And I think he's got to have a great future ahead of him. Because you know what? Here's the deal. Like the window kind of begins now. And when you have guys like Jarvis and Odell, who, you know, 27, 28, right?
Yeah, 28 and 27.
I don't know the stats, and you got to figure like Jarvis and Odell are two like world class athletes. They're not the average NFL wide receiver. So can they play into their 30s? Probably. But are you going to be the same, you know, a 23-year-old Jarvis Landry, you know, who's catching 1 billion balls in Miami when you're at 30, 31?
You know what's funny about those two? I never realized this until I was just looking at the stats. Do you know those two dudes are the same height and 2 pounds off?
I didn't know that.
5'11", 196 goes Jarvis, and 5'11", 198 goes Odell.
I remember when the Dolphins drafted Jarvis, and I remember I was in a fantasy league, and I was living in South Florida at the time, surrounded by a bunch of Dolphins fans. And they drafted Jarvis in like the 3rd round, I think. And I'm like, look, and somebody drafted him in our league, and I was like, who the heck? You're gonna draft this rookie they picked in the 3rd round? Like when you have guys on the board who are like proven entities. And then he ended up going off, and really turning into something. Now the problem with Jarvis, and this was the problem when he was in Miami, he was very much a possession receiver. He's a guy who's going to catch 100 balls but score 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
You know, and that I think has been kind of, since he's been to Cleveland, he's been featured more and he's had the opportunity to score more. But, you know, what are we, 10 weeks into the season? Yeah. You know, at some point,
he should have one. And if he
did,
we would have won.
And you know what? That just tells me that he's not going to end the season without having a touchdown.
Yeah, he's
so
going to get one.
He's going to score, and he's probably going to be one game where he has like 3.
Let's hope it's Sunday.
Oh, that'd be great. Well, he's gonna have an opportunity in these next couple. Because the Jags game in Florida is probably going to be fine. You know, it is. It has been raining. It has been a little overcast, but I mean, it's going to be crisp, and it's going to be throwing football weather. Okay, so he's going to have a chance there too. But the cool thing is we're winning games. So I don't care how many passes Baker has. I don't care what the stats are. Neither does Nick Chubb apparently. So it's just about winning games, and that's the great thing. It's not individual accomplishments anymore. It's about just the team, and I think that's a really cool thing about this Browns team. You know, I know Baker took a lot of heat early on in the season. The media was really rooting for him to fail, and he's ever since that Bengals game where he threw the 5 touchdowns, they've been like, all right, we can't really rag on him anymore. I mean, threw 5 touchdowns, including the game winner, you know, on the last drive of the minute 6 where they should have lost. And they would have killed him if they would have lost. Yeah. They would have killed him. And so he stepped up and did it. And now they're just like, well, now he's not doing anything. He's just kind of like throwing 20 balls and just handing it off to Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Okay. Tell me another quarterback in this league who would have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt who would still throw the ball a million times.
Right.
Because you can't, even if you're Breeze, even if you're a guy who throws the ball 40, 50 times every single game, you still have those guys, you're not going to do it. So I think they had to leave him alone. I think now is the time where, you know, the Carson Wentz conversation is going to happen. You know, you're going to start looking at stuff like that. Yeah. You know, I think we talked about this last week. Remember with the Lamar Jackson conversation? You know, they already have 3 losses. They already have more losses now than they had all of last year. Yeah, what that tells me is they're going the other way because they're not going to win out.
No.
You look at the Ravens schedule. The Ravens schedule is not easy. It's not easy at all. I want to see who they got. I know they have the Steelers and us one more time, and the Titans. I think we already talked about this. So Titans, Steelers, Browns. They're going to beat the Jags. They're going to beat the Cowboys. They're going to beat the Giants. They're probably going to beat the Bengals. Although out of those teams, I probably think the Bengals have the best shot. But, man, the Bengals defense is so bad. I mean, legitimately terrible defense. Somehow they managed to beat the Titans, so they have a quality win under their belt.
Yeah, I was just looking at the PFF scores for the Eagles, and I mean, aside from Darius Slay, who is, I mean, he's 40 of 120. I mean, their secondary is not very good. I mean, him and McLeod probably the best 2 out there. And then of course, you know, you got Brandon Graham, obviously, that you gotta account for, and Barnett and Curry. I mean, they've got a solid defensive line. So I mean, I think that, you know, barring Conklin getting a positive test, as long as he's in there, I think our offensive line holds up pretty well, and you know, enough for the running game to get going. And I think that they'll hold up enough to give Baker an opportunity to find some guys, because I think guys will definitely be open on Sunday. I mean, their secondary is not very good.
So here's something interesting. Let's go through the Eagles. They lost to the football team to open the season.
Yeah.
Okay. Nothing more needs to be said. Next week, they get crushed by the Rams, 37-19.
Yep.
The next week, they tied the Bengals. Right, and this is when the Bengals were looking like they might not win a game.
Yeah, I mean you're right. I mean, that was what, 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks.
It was the third week of the season.
It's been a minute, right?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Then they ended up getting their first win against the Garoppolo-less 49ers. So they played against Nick Mullins and C.J. Beathard. Okay, that's who they played against. Right? Was C.J. Beathard a quarterback?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jesus. Okay. So then they got their first win against a 49ers team that just goes to show what the drop off in talent is from a number 1 to a number 2 and 3. It is.
Oh yeah,
It's massive, and I
yeah, it
wouldn't say
really is.
Garoppolo is pushing for the Hall of Fame at any bit right now, but still,
No,
you know. Then they get smacked by the Steelers. However, they fought to the end, but they still lost 38-29. Then they get smacked by the Ravens, and made it a game at the very end. They ended up scoring 22 points in the fourth quarter. They finally woke up.
yep,
Yet they still lost to the Ravens at home. Then they barely beat the Giants, the Saquon-less Giants,
yep.
right? Barely 21-20. I'm sorry, 22-21. Then they beat the Dak Prescott-less Cowboys. So they beat the kid from JMU, Ben DiNucci.
Yeah, and you know what? If I watched that whole game, if Garrett Gilbert starts that game, the Eagles lose that game.
Okay,
I'm convinced.
it's fair. And then they just lost to the Giants.
Yeah.
So
And the Giants. I got to tell you, out of the NFC teams, that's the one game that that worries me a little bit, only because their defense is really good.
Yeah, it's they're again, it's like any given Sunday. They're one of those teams that can sneak up on you.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows? Do you think the Jets are going to go 0-16?
No, I think they're going to win one, and it better not be against us because I don't even want to put that vibe out there.
No.
Strike that from the record.
Take it out.
I think Miles is okay. I know they're talking about Miles in the chat. From what I understood, listening to the press conference today, it was it didn't seem like it was anything, even like COVID type symptoms. I don't know. With that being said, I don't know what the illness is, but he didn't sound like he was. That it was a worry. So.
Here's the reality. Look at the last 2 games they played. They're outside in the cold, in the wet rain.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a recipe for wrecking an immune system. I don't care what it is.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he needs to take a breather and drink some Pedialyte or whatever to do it.
Yeah, whatever it takes. See you on Sunday.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be fine. Look at Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb goes out for a couple weeks, comes back stronger than ever.
Yeah.
So if he needs a little time to rest, I'd rather him rest.
I think if you historically look back through the season, in regards to guys that were put on the list because they were close, whatever, and we already talked about that in the beginning of the show, whatever close contact is. Up until now, knock on wood, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I want to say. So I think we'll be okay with come Sunday with those guys. Obviously, Janovich is not coming back until hopefully the Jaguar game. But I think these three, the three that they had on there today, I think that I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, I don't think I'm drastically concerned.
No.
With what's going on with it. It's I don't know who else is injured. I haven't looked at the injury list yet. I don't know if it's been published for the Eagles.
Yeah,
if
I saw it today. Out. Yeah, it was. There was nobody out. I think it was for the Eagles. There was only a couple of guys. Like I said, they're getting healthy at the right time. There were only, I think, like maybe 3 guys on the Eagles report, and I think at worst they were limited. And we had several guys on ours. Teller was limited, which obviously they won't. They don't want to put a lot of strain on him. And there are a couple other guys too on our squad that were limited. Jacob Phillips being one of them, and I know we heard that news earlier in the week, and I don't know what that's going to look like. As time goes on, and that investigation is or lawsuit, I guess it is going on, but we'll see on that front.
Side note.
Yeah.
So 2 things. One, Did you see the waves I was making this week with the victory mug tweet
Yeah.
on Twitter?
Yeah.
So full transparent. And Mike and I have talked this. I would always see Mike publishing the picture of the victory mug, and I'm like, man, I want to get that goddamn mug. Like, I really wanted to get it, only because Mike had it and he was drinking out of it. And I was like, I just want to have the same mug. And then so this year I figured out who it was, and I don't think I gave one away, but I bought a couple. I bought one for myself, one for my dad.
Yeah.
And then I was just getting so into it that I was like, I'm just gonna give one away. I'm gonna give one away to somebody. And it just seemed like it went nuts. I mean, so far it's been the biggest tweet I've made in November. I mean, it was like
Everybody loves the mug.
80,000 impressions. I was like, holy shit. And it wasn't a co-pro or a sponsorship thing. Like, I physically bought the mug and sent it to that guy. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, dude, this is amazing. So I reached out to Cleveland because I mean, we've got Homage and Sabo Apparel. So like, I know there's a billion Cleveland based like t-shirt companies out there, but and I want to stay pretty loyal to like our guys. So I'm wearing the Believe in Cleveland, from Sabo. I mean, they're awesome. I say it all the time. Veteran-owned company, small business, Cleveland. I want to help them out as much as I can. And then also with the Cleveland Co. I mean, with just having that mug out there, and I was DMing with them. I was like, hey guys, I know I kind of slung this on you, and I know this isn't like an official thing for you guys, but if you want to give me like a discount code or something like that, so I can save like maybe on shipping or something. And they're like, here, we'll give you 15% off. So I was like, all right, it's better than nothing.
Right.
And so that was really cool. And I told him, I was like, hey, if you guys want to do more, I think we can do more. Now, I could do the Homage one too, because Homage has a Victory Monday t-shirt.
Yep.
So I might as well just do that, if they don't want to like, do anything. But I'm trying to butter them up so I can get like a potential sponsorship for the Wednesday show. Beautiful. And secondly, so I had an opportunity to interview the CEO of a new emerging social network called.
Oh, that's right. What was that, yesterday?
That was yesterday. So
okay. I forgot to ask you.
I have the recording of it, and I want to do a little bit of editing because I want to add a little bit of flair to it.
Yeah.
So Columbus based. He went to school in Athens, but a lot of the guys are Ohio State guys and Cincinnati guys, and so I connected with them. And I was telling them like, hey, look, I've got this charity event coming up. Well, first of all, we just did a regular interview, and I asked them about eFuse and asked them about content creation and tools. And just people comment to me all the time. I know we have DF Sports in here. We got some people that are trying to build content, become a content creator, and learn how to do it. And really, that's what that website's for. eFuse is a way for content creator, whether you're doing like talking head type stuff like you and I do. Yep. Or if you're a gamer or whatever the heck you're creating content for, there are new channels that are emerging that make it easier for you to network, kind of like LinkedIn. So it's a LinkedIn for gamers or content creators. And people know like my two biggest passions are Browns and video games. So I talked to their CEO. This kid's 23 years old.
Wow. And
he sounded like he was like 48. Just wise beyond his years, super confident, really well spoken. I was just the entire time I was just impressed by this kid. And I was like, okay, I get it. I get why, you guys were able to get funded and everything, because you definitely like. I think he's got it. Yeah. Now the other thing that was interesting is they're working with a lot of like NFL guys. Mm-hmm. So Braxton Miller was the first investor in the company.
Wow.
As from an athlete perspective, Denzel Ward is now an investor.
Wow.
In the organization. Ezekiel Elliott. I think Jedrick Wills is too. I think he mentioned Jedrick is a part of it.
Heavy hitters.
So they got some cool stuff. And then this is potential. This is something potentially in the works. So I don't have confirmation. I'm going to be talking to them a little bit more in the upcoming days. But after we were done with the interview. I told him, I was like, look, man, I'm a huge fan of your website. I've put in some work into it, trying to build it out. I want to, do some cool stuff with it. And if I can help you in any way, please let me know. Like I want to be able to use whatever weight I have as an influencer to be able to push it out, especially in the Cleveland area. and they happen to be Ohio based. They're in Columbus, and
Yep.
he's like, yeah, he's like, this is really good timing. We were just talking to ESPN Cleveland, and we're going to be doing some stuff with some of the Browns players. I think it's going to be Odell, and I think Jedrick, and I think it's going to be like a Madden type event. And he's like, we're looking for players, but we're also looking for guys to do broadcasting, to do like shout. They call it in gaming, it's shoutcasting. And he's like,
You learn something new every day here. Shoutcasting, I like it.
That's what it's called, because I think it goes back to the whole like StarCraft where they would literally yell.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman. It's like, ah,
Like Gary Thorne on steroids.
on way maybe even powdery stuff, not steroid. And so he asked me if I'd be interested in potentially doing some broadcasting work, and I was like, look, man. I was like, well, I didn't tell him. I was like, I don't have the best relationship with ESPN. Like, everyone's like, well, why not? I'm like, well, because they put up polls on Twitter, like, should we? I know the Browns are 4-1, but should we bench Baker for Case Keenum? Yes or no? And it's like, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I was like, look, man, if it's a Madden tournament or if it's a Call of Duty Warzone, like, if it's Madden, I'm not really a Madden player anymore. I used to be a Madden player, not really a Madden player, but I know football. I know football.
Play it though.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a football simulation. I can talk about football. Or if it's Warzone's Call of Duty, I mean, that's basically what I do with almost every.
That's your wheelhouse.
100%. So I was like, look, man, I would be ecstatic, and I think my audience would probably care, even though I don't think that my audience cares as much about gaming, but I think they would care if it's Brown stuff.
Yeah, I think so.
So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's get involved. And so I'm going to be talking to them in the next couple of days about possibly my broadcasting debut.
Boom.
Could be coming soon, and I might be able to broadcast a Madden game. Like, imagine, because I've done this. I have done it before. Where like I think Jarvis and Denzel Ward were playing Madden, and I just simulcast. I grabbed it from Twitch, put it up on YouTube, and just put myself there, talked about it. So like I
remember when you did that.
Yeah, a little experience with that. Right.
It was a little while ago, right?
Yeah, it was maybe like 2 months ago. But I was like, it's fun to do that, just Brown stuff. And I was like, I think this could be cool. I think the audience would really care about it. So I was just like, dude, I'd be blown away, just because it'd be a fun experience if nothing else.
Yeah, it'd be very cool.
Yeah. So I was thinking maybe for today, since it's a Wednesday and we got all this stuff going on, does anybody in chat want a mug? Does anybody want a victory mug?
You know what? I have to tell you, the victory mug is right up there with the moose mug from National Lampoon's Christmas. Like it for me, it's 1 and 1A.
That high up?
Yeah. Which one though?
I'm going the victory mug.
You're going victory mug over the moose over the National Lampoon's moose mug?
I think that I think they're both iconic in their own right.
Yep.
But if I had now that I own the mug.
Yeah.
And you know what the funny thing is? It's the cheapest regular ceramic mug. But it's really just orange, and it has like a little backdrop of Cleveland with a thing on it. It says Victory Monday.
Now let me ask you a question. Do you own a National Lampoon's Christmas moose mug?
No, I don't. I know which one you're talking about, but I don't own it.
There is nothing. Like, me and my dad have a tradition. Like, every Christmas Eve and Christmas, we'll spike some eggnog out of that thing, and I mean, there's nothing greater than drinking out of a mug and you're holding the antler while you drink. So that's why it's like 1 and 1A for me.
The Rocky Bullwinkle.
Essentially.
Yeah. No. I actually went through a period of time where because I travel a lot for work, so I go to airports and I see mugs, and my wife drinks coffee out of mugs. I drink iced coffee every morning, so I don't use mugs, but my wife does. So I would go out to, I got one from like Austin, Texas, and Nashville, and Atlanta, and blah, 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 all over the place. So we have a whole bunch of like crazy mugs, like unique mugs. And, but every Monday, if we win, she's drinking out of that Monday, that Victory Monday. She's like, oh, it's my Victory Monday mug. So, and I know people like it. So I want to give people an opportunity to win one in the Wednesday show.
Yeah,
and I think we should make this a tradition. If we win a game, we win the game
away.
On the Wednesday show, we'll give the Victory Monday mug away, since it really is the Mike Ristano Victory Monday mug. And I did tell the Cleveland Clothing Co. I said, hey, and I pointed my finger at him. I said, hey, it is because I only know about this because of Mike Ristano, and I put Bonzo 1273. I was like, this is the guy who told me about it, so give him some love. Send him a mug or give him something free. All right, so let's do it. We do. You guys know how we do it. 1 to 100. Type a number now. Whoever gets closest to my number is going to win. My number is in. I've already typed it in. So as soon as we only got 20 guys in here. So as soon as I see the numbers stop, I will hit the button and you guys will win the mug, and I'll send one out to you.
This is good stuff. Good stuff.
I love giving stuff away, and because, guys, the only reason why I'm allowed to do this, my wife hates when I buy like brown stuff without, because you and I, Mike, we're just like addicted to buying Browns crap.
I mean, look at me.
Yeah, you're chalk decked out, head to toe, and I would do the same thing. So my wife would always be seeing we get these like t-shirts and sweatshirts and shoes and everything going on, right? And now she can't, she doesn't know. She's like, because I get all this free stuff now from these guys. They're like, where did you get these shirts from? Did you buy these or not? I'm like, no, those are they just gave them to me free, so I wear them on the show. But now I've earned the right because of the Patreon. So if you guys give $1, like, I just want to say, like, the Patreon is the reason why I'm allowed to have this extra income to dump into prizes, and that's the goal. I want to give away the prizes. So we give away jerseys. I've given away more expensive jerseys than I personally own as a Browns fan. You know,
that's saying something.
The $149, like the highest one that they make, I gave that to a dude. Just because I felt like it. Because Patreon gives me money, and because I can do that, I can buy cool stuff. So we still got some numbers trickling in, so away from. You can only put in one number. So if you put in more than one number,
you got to pick one.
You got to, it's whatever the first one was. I'm not letting you put in a billion numbers. So talking and grubbing, you have 3 numbers in there. So I would delete 2 of them, or I'm gonna go with the 78. Yeah. So I just think it's cool.
Is anybody close, Mike?
Well, I don't want to give it away because there's people out there.
That's true.
I would say yes, someone is close. There are a couple people that are within striking distance of it.
And I mean, the numbers are running the gamut there, so it's not like we're giving away too much.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Well, I think we're at. Well, we still have numbers coming in, so I'm not gonna hit it yet. But I'm ready to hit it. I'm gonna give it another second or two. But yeah, I just think, and by the way, so the other thing on that eFuse thing, this is my first verification check mark out of all the sites, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all the sites I've ever been a part of. eFuse is the first one that's actually verified me as a verified person on their platform. So
check you out,
dude. I just got a message saying, "Hey man, check out your profile. Something changed in your account." I was like, "Oh shit." So also I want to send out a message if anybody's a gamer out there. Sign up for this site. It's awesome, and I'm gonna put my code in there for you to sign up. I don't get paid or anything from it, but I think they attribute the traffic to me. Okay, I think we're coming. The chat is slowed down.
It's trickled.
The number was 76, and so we have Mary and Browns fan 1977 who were within 1. Talking and Grubbin was 78, so he was close. That's what I was saying. I was like, do you want to have 78 or do you want to kind of move it? I didn't want to give it away, but I figured I was giving him too many clues that
That's a Price is Right went over, and that's the end. Huh?
That's when you said, like, is anybody close? I'm like, yeah, people are real close. Yes, there's a playoff. Okay, so we got a playoff. So let's do it. 1 to 100 for Mary and BF 77. Go. All right, I'm gonna put in my number. My eyes are closed. Mike, text me a number. You pick the number.
All right.
I'm not looking at chat.
1 to 100, huh?
1 to 100. Text me the number, and that'll be it.
All right. Let's see.
Here's my phone. Why is my Google?
But don't put your numbers up there yet.
I'm not looking at chat right now, so I don't know if the number has been put up there or not. But I'm waiting. I'm waiting for your text.
They put 2 numbers up, but it's not it. Here comes the number.
Okay. Well. Okay. All right. All right. So Mike Ristano's number was 99. So Mary is the winner. I think Mary's won something before. I think she's been a winner before. I could be wrong there though. Mary, have you won before? Let me go to my Gmail and see if I can find it. Wow, I'm just hit by beam of light in my face right now from doing that. No, I don't think Mary's won. If she has, she has a different name than her.
Why did you just get so bright?
I opened a new browser window and it just beamed me with light. It's like, ah!
I heard you mention something, but I wasn't looking, and then I looked up and it was like, oh.
Yeah, I got too many things going on here that are like, so the room's dark, and then anytime I turn on any light, it's like, the light of God is just anointing me. Congratulations, Mary. Send me an email, Mary, with your address.
And
that's all I need. Address, say mug winner, Mary. I'm gonna try to pronounce it Ventresca. So send me an email and say, hey, I won the mug. Here's my address. The good thing about the mug, Mike, is I don't have to ask for a URL. I don't have to ask for a size. I just have to ask for your address, and I can send you a mug.
And out it goes.
I wish honestly, like, that's the only thing that's annoying about giving away the T-shirts is like, send me the URL, send me your size, send me your address. So people would be like, hey, I won. Here's my address. Cool. Can you pick out a shirt? Here's a shirt. Cool. What size are you? And it's like 9. I go back and forth. Some people who are like kind of getting used to it now are like, okay, cool. Like, here it is. They get it. If it's like a usual guy. And I like when the people who come all the time win versus, not to say like the random people who show up. And it's just great too, because maybe they'll show up more. But I like giving it out to the people that are always there.
And you know what? Depending on the United States Postal Service, we win on Sunday. Mary could quite possibly be drinking out of that mug on Monday.
There you go. Yes. So I'll make sure, Mary, if you send me your address to... Oh, you did try it? You tried on Twitter and you lost? I'm sorry. The Twitter thing is even harder to do than this, because I either have to go and physically type down everyone's name and put it into a randomizer, or what I did this last time. I don't know if you saw the video. I just closed my eyes and scrolled around a bunch, and then it said, no way me stop. Because I was like, I'm not going to do this anyway. I feel like that's as fair as any other way. Yeah, Mary, send me your address. I'll get that mailed out to you today, so hopefully you can have it there. I think it's 3 to 5 business days. They came quick last time. They did come quick last time, so they won't get it in the mail to you obviously till tomorrow. But you got to let me know, Mary, if you get it on time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely want to know. I'm quickly becoming like the top mug customer of Cleveland Co. Thanks, man. I feel bad because like I'm actually buying things and sending them out to people from Cleveland Clothing Co. Whereas like Homage and Sabo are just doing it for free, and they're the ones that their logos all over all over the channel.
Right.
But yeah, that's awesome. So I'm happy to do that, and I think it's awesome. And again, Patreon helps. So if you guys are Patreon guys, I know there's some people in here that are. I love it. Thank you very much. If you're not, and you want to give $1, it helps us do cool giveaways like this. I think everybody from Patreon is like probably. So the thing about Patreon too, I try to say like, hey, if we're going to do Patreon only giveaways, it's against terms and conditions. I can't do that. So sorry. But it allows us to buy cool stuff. So if you want to give $1 or whatever, that'd be awesome. If not, whatever. Oh, Browns fan. Browns fan won the OBJ jersey. Okay, cool. We give away jerseys every once in a while. Especially, guys, if I'm drinking on Sunday and we win, like look out. Because it's like I break out the credit card when I'm drinking and we win football games. Yeah, man. It's just cost $1 to do the Patreon. And if you can't, that's fine too. We love that you guys come here. Just hit the like button. That's all I ask. Hit the like button and participate in chat. And honestly, like that's all I ask. Like, you don't have to give us any money. Just hit the like button and participate in chat, and you make us happy because you give us, that other conversation that we can have with you guys live during the channel. Yeah, I don't know. What else is new, Mike?
I don't know. I'm just daydreaming about drinking out of that mug on Monday, to be quite honest.
Like, I start talking about coffee, you're like, ooh,
speaking of which, and I can't remember who it was in the chat, but they weren't kidding. That Black Rifle coffee, it is good. And they have this this pumpkin brew called Basic Batch.
Mm-hmm.
Probably the best pumpkin coffee I've ever had in my life, bar none.
Really?
I just ordered 3 more bags. Yeah,
dude, pumpkin coffee. We have some of the pumpkin coffee like creamer from Starbucks that my wife gets. She's into the pumpkin stuff.
Yeah, we are too. I'm
You're a pumpkin
uber guilty
guy?
of it. Oh yeah, pumpkin everything. We used to see that. You used to see my pumpkin beer collection.
I do like pumpkin beer. I will say that. Like a pumpkin IPA, but it's just not my favorite flavor. I think it's because
that's all right.
It's the I think it's because of the texture of pumpkin. Pumpkin pie.
You don't like that stringy
like
kind of
mushy, meh type texture.
Yeah, that's all right.
Here's a funny thing: if you put pumpkin pie in front of my dad, he will scoff.
Oh yeah.
He's like, oh, so I might have that same taste profile as my dad,
right?
About the pumpkin. I don't hate it.
It's just not you're just not ecstatic about it like myself.
Yeah, I mean, I'll eat I'll eat pumpkin pie. I'll put some of the pumpkin creamer in, but I'm not gonna like go out of my way,
right?
To get to do pumpkin stuff, right? I prefer real basic. Put caramel in there. Put hazelnut in there. Put vanilla in there. That's all I need.
Yeah, I'm all pumpkined out. Hey Matt, little dogfish head shout out.
There you go. Dogfish head.
You know what I just
it's a good one. It's good IPA.
Those and those that follow me on Twitter would know this because I posted a picture the other day, but I did grab a nice case of Great Lakes Cleveland Christmas Ale.
Where online or
no? So there's a you know where I live in Delaware, so it literally, I could drive 10 minutes one way and be in New Jersey. I could drive 10 minutes the other way, be in Pennsylvania, or I could drive 10 minutes the other way and be in Maryland. So there's a spot right over the line in Maryland that usually have anything you're looking for, and and they carry the Great Lakes Christmas Ale. So that was probably about a month and a half ago. I usually I'll call. Actually, a funny story. I'll tell you after this, but usually I call and I'm like, hey, can you reserve me, a case or a 12-pack or whatever. They're like, oh yeah, no worries, and and I'll go in and pick it up. But the funny story I was going to tell you is last year I forgot. So we were literally, I can't remember what game it was that we were in Cleveland. But anyway, we had, we flew in on Saturday like we do, and we were at the Wink and Lizard, and we were drinking, one Cleveland ale after the other, and we were sitting there, and I'm like, oh, I gotta call the liquor store and make sure that I reserve us some Christmas ale, because it was getting late in the season, and I forgot. So long story short, I gave him a call, like, oh yeah, how much do you want? I'm like, oh, you know what? I've been drinking too much of it. I just want 2 6-packs. Oh, all right, no worries. We'll have it on the side. I'm like, all right, I'll be in on Monday. We're flying back, and then I'll hit it on the way home.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember like later on that Saturday that that somebody called me from a Maryland number and left a voicemail, but I never looked at it. So I went in on Monday and I'm like, hey, yeah, I'm here to pick up my 2 6-packs. And they're like, hey, well, what are you talking about? You know, we don't have any. There's only a case and a half or something left for a couple of guys that already had it reserved. So I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I spoke to, Susie on Saturday and she put it aside for me and this is ridiculous, whatever. So the guy's like, all right, fine. So he comes back. He's like, all right, I had to break up one of the guy's cases. So I guess he'll be all right with this. I'm like, all right, thanks. So I get in the car. I'm telling Laura, I'm like, yeah, they're telling me that they didn't have it, whatever. So I drive home and I'm sitting around messing around on my phone. I'm like, hey, what's this voicemail?
Mm-hmm.
I listened to the voicemail. It was the woman. She called me back like an hour later and said that they didn't have any left, that they were sorry and I wasn't going to be able to get it this year. So I didn't realize it, but like I strong armed them into giving me somebody else's beer.
Hey man, if you have the type of relationship with this distributor where they're calling you to apologize that they don't have your beer,
That's true.
then I think that you probably you're at the relationship level where they could probably afford to give you someone else's beer and take the hit with that customer versus yourself. There was speaking of distributors in Maryland, so Pennsylvania where I grew up, it was all government controlled. So you couldn't buy beer or liquor in a grocery store. It was all ABC stores and beer distributors and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Now in Maryland, they don't give a shit. They'll do whatever they want. So we used to drive down to Orioles games, randomly in the summer.
Yep.
And sometimes when we go with one of my friend's dad, we would stop at this place just south of the Mason-Dixon line, right when you get into Maryland. I think it might be called like Mason-Dixon beer or something like that. I can't remember. It was something Mason-Dixon. That's how I remembered it. It was literally right over the line, right into Maryland. And
it's funny because that's where this place is, and not the same place, but literally at this part of the road, you go into Maryland, and guess what?
Right on the border, right?
Right on the border.
Yeah. So, Adrian, what's going on, dude? Adrian's one of the guys from eFuse.
Oh, nice.
He's got a bright future ahead of this kid too. So we used to go down to the Orioles games, and then my friend's dad would drink during the game, right. And then he'd be like, he would want to keep his buzz going on the way home. So we would stop, and we were like 18, we were 17, 18-year-old kids. So we would stop at the beer place, and then his rule was, he's like, I'll buy you beer, but 2 things. 1, you can't tell your parents. 2, I'm not buying you anything larger than ponies. So like, I think the ponies are like I want to say the ponies are like 8-ounce, like Rolling Rock ponies, the little ones. So each one of us would get a 6-pack of ponies and drink them on the way home, just so my friend's dad could sip on a couple more on the way. The most dangerous, asinine.
Oh my god!
It's like literally just like.
It's funny. You look back at stuff like that. That's like when we were kids driving around in like the back of my aunt's station wagon, like in the very back, like no seatbelts. I mean, you could have gotten into an accident. We would have wound up in the trunk of the car behind us. But
dude, it's just the dumb. This is the thing as a parent now that I'm like, I hope to God that my kids don't do any of the stupid stuff that I did when I was a kid. And I don't even think you can anymore. I think it's just like
I agree.
There's so much social media and stuff. Because if we had phones, we would have been taking pictures of ourselves drinking in the car.
Oh yeah. They're we would have had no shot.
Yeah. So yeah, there's something about drinking in Maryland, drinking in Baltimore that was fun. Now, Baltimore was scary back then. I mean, even the one safe spot, because we'd always just go to Inner Harbor, so where the Orioles play. Anything outside of Inner Harbor was like scary, but now I understand that even Inner Harbor is not safe. So like, I don't know. Have you been down to Baltimore recently? Did you ever go to like Baltimore to watch the Browns play?
Yeah, I used to. Well, I mean, I've gone there a a million times the Orioles games. When the Yankees would be down in town down there, and there was actually a place back in the day. It was one of the greatest rock clubs in America. It was called Hammerjacks, and we used to go down there to see shows. I literally, I think I still have hearing loss in one ear. It was Extreme and Tesla. That's so I'm dating myself here a little bit, but I mean, yeah, that was a killer show. But then I had a couple buddies that I had toured with that they came through um, with I can't think of their names now, but anyway, I was down in Inner Harbor. They have a couple nice little spots, um, you know, outdoor concert venues and kind of things, and Inner Harbor still. I mean, it's not bad. It's nice. There's like a little towny kind of thing they built a few years back, but um, I mean, it's not as nice as it might have been, 10, 15 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, back when I was in high school in the '90s, just when they built Camden Yards. I
Yeah, and
mean,
that was probably about the time of like when I would go down to the concerts and stuff.
yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I remember when I was a kid, just I saw Griffey Jr. on the
Yeah,
the Mariners hitting home runs with his hat on backwards
yeah,
you know
warm ups.
in warm ups. Saw Kirby Puckett hitting home runs there. I saw I mean just stuff when I was a kid that was just incredible. That I feel very fortunate now to have been able to witness some of that stuff. Cal Ripken playing and
Yeah, it's crazy.
all those guys. I saw
I
Fernando Valenzuela
Yeah, I
pitch
really haven't heard that
for.
name in a while.
I saw him pitch for. I want to say he pitched for the Orioles. And I think they were playing the Mets because anytime when they started the interleague stuff, because I'm a Mets fan, so we go
Yeah,
down and see him play against the Mets. Um, but yeah, it was good time, man. And then
that's pretty.
when we used to do field trips in high school, or not in high school, just field trips when I was a kid. And
Yeah,
I remember, I think we were in like sixth grade, and we went to Inner Harbor for the first time, and we just did like some tour of whatever. We went to Baltimore for whatever the hell reason, and a bunch of us went to Hooters for the first time, and it was like, I mean, we must have been 12 years old, and we walked into Hooters like we were going into like a strip club. Like we're like, do we belong in here? What do we do? Do we order wings? I remember the waitress. She came over and she's like, "Are you guys old enough to be in here?" And we're like, "Is there an age limit?" Like I thought it was just a restaurant. Like we didn't know. Maybe it was because we were just acting like idiots. But
I can only imagine.
yeah, I have a couple fond memories of Baltimore. Well before the Browns were there.
And to answer your question about Browns games down in Baltimore, I went to a couple,
Mm-hmm.
but I almost got into a fight both times, and I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm
Probably
getting too
not.
old. Yeah, too old for this shit.
Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I struggle to want to go to Browns games, like Browns away games in
Yep.
general. Because I mean, I've seen them play Miami and Tampa, and like the Jacksonville game's coming up, and it's only 3 hours away, and like, would it be great? Yes, and maybe if like if there was something for me to go for, like if JW reached out and was like, hey man, like we'll get you field pass or something, then I'd be like, all right,
Right.
I'll go.
I'll go.
If somebody's gonna do something, and I'm not saying that I expect that because I totally don't.
Right.
It's just like it would almost like take something like that because I've seen them play in away games so many times, and it's just not the same. Um, so I'm still struggling with that. We probably aren't gonna go to the Jags game. Just because I don't want to. I also don't want to miss out on the pre and the post game show as well.
Yeah.
Which would be impacted by that to a certain degree. Uh, plus to be honest, man, I don't know. Like you've got the weather, you've got other fans who might be drinking around your kids. You got, who knows? Just like the experience in games versus what you have at home. When I'm sitting on my couch watching on my big screen TV, drinking a whole 6-pack of beer for $11 versus a single beer for like 14. It's just I like watching the games at home.
Yeah. No, and I And I mean, we went to my dad, and my brother are Jet fans, so the four of us went up to and you know this, we went up to see the Jet game last year, and
That was an ad hoc, right? Like you weren't expecting. You were just like, let's just go. Or were you planning on
no,
it?
that one we planned on it because I know my dad wanted to go to a game, and we literally the last time prior to that, and what I was basically going to say, the fans up there were great. They were really nice, and and it's not the kind of thing where like I don't go to a game like in an away stadium and like be a dick. Like I don't do anything. Like I don't taunt anybody. If my
Yeah.
team does well, like I'll cheer. It's not like an over, you know, in your face kind of cheer. Um, so like in Baltimore, like it was just it was, I couldn't even walk out of the aisle, and like people were like borderline harassing, and to each his own. I mean, it is what it is, but um,
See, that's the opposite of my dad's experience in Baltimore, but he was probably being a little bit more playful, and he's an older guy, so they probably
yeah,
didn't really
I
want to
think
mess with
I
us.
think being the older guy helps a little bit too. And I mean, it's been a while I mean, I was in my early 30s. I think the last time I mean, Brady Quinn was our quarterback. I think the last time that I went to Baltimore for a game, but
For the year he was our quarterback.
yeah, for the year. Actually, you want to laugh? Actually, the last time I was at a Ravens game was the game that Dawson kicked the field goal, and it hit
Dude, I was
the
just talking about that.
yeah, what do they call it? The stanchion? What is it called? The stanchion or the stanchion? What I'm talking about?
Dude,
The little.
you were at that game?
I was at that game, and it was funny because that was the year that we were playing really well, and I I remember like it was yesterday. I was on the 40-yard line, and it was kicking right to left, and I looked at Lauren. I'm like, that was good. Like there that went in. And
Yeah.
people were walking by like, "Oh yeah, maybe better luck next time, buddy." Yeah, whatever. And doing the bullshit that I was just telling you that they do. And then sure enough, the refs, got all together, or whatever, and the kick was good, and then Cribbs had that big return, and then
Yeah, then we
we
won it in
won.
overtime, right?
Yep.
Yeah, it was
And
funny. My wife is telling me, she's like, it's never over until the very end of the game with the Browns. They take it to the last second every time, and I was like, it it's not even over then. Like
no,
if we would have ended up losing that game, right? I think the NFL may have been able to go back and award us the win
yeah.
because it was just such a bad call. You can't. I mean,
Everybody
it's
started going into the locker room too, and I remember like it was yesterday. Like that went in. That they got to come back on the field, and sure enough, they did.
yeah, it was nuts. But yeah, I mean the Browns have the ability to just it's nail biting, you
Yeah,
know.
it really is.
It's playing that complete game of football. I did ask my dad on the post game show. I was like, "Do you think that we played 4 quarters of football?" He's like, "I think we did. I think
Yeah,
we actually put together 4 quarters of football. We didn't lose it on defense, you know, 7
yeah.
points. Now we didn't light it up on offense either, but I think we did what we had to do. That might have been the most complete game that we played all season, and
Yeah.
a 10-7 win.
Got to gut them out, and they did.
Yeah, again on paper, if we go like 2 or 3 years from now, the Mike's Wednesday show of the future. When we come back to the 2020 season, when we started the Wednesday show, when we go back to this season, we start talking like, oh, remember the Texans game? Remember the 10-7 Texans game? It really is going to be like, man, it's such like it stands out on the schedule as a win and a close win, a low scoring close win, but it really wasn't. He
No.
should that we're gonna be like, that's the game that Nick Chubb should have scored in a touchdown, that he ended up going out of bounds like a boss at the end of the game, just to seal the deal. Now let me ask you this. I
Yep.
want to know your honest opinion.
Mhm.
If Nick Chubb goes in to score and we give them. I think there was like a minute 10 or a minute 5 left on the clock. There might have been less time. There might have been. But with no timeouts, them down 2 scores, so legitimately 2 scores, right? They would have been down a full 13 points. Wait, they would have been down a full 10 points.
10 points.
Full 10 points, right? What are the odds that the Texans would have been able to go down, score without any timeouts, and then get the onside kick, kicking into the bad wind, and kicking a field goal to push it into overtime with a minute left? What are the odds of that?
I think slim to none, and Slim was nowhere to be found. That I think at the end of the day, the biggest, for me anyway, the biggest factor in that play itself was the fact that we didn't have to march our special teams out there and risk an injury, and we didn't have to put our defense back out on the field to risk an injury. Could you imagine? It's you win the game by the margin that we did, and you have the the naysayers, and you have the gambling idiots on Twitter that are outraged that Chubb's stepped out of bounds or whatever.
Yeah, like I give 2 craps about the gambling idiots.
Exactly, and it's like it could have been one of those games where you go, oh yeah, we took care of business, 17-7. It wasn't even close, but man, shit, I wish Denzel didn't tweak a knee there on that last Hail Mary, as opposed to, yeah, it was 10-7. It was a hard fought battle, but we came out of the game with the win and healthy. So that was what my take was, that I was happy that he did what he did.
I was actually more pissed off about not just the gambling idiots, but the guys who were like, if Nick really cared, then he should have gone out of bounds right after getting the first down. He wanted to pad his stats, and I'm sitting there like, dude, they're not fundamentally, they're not wrong.
But did you see he was on the Pat McAfee show? Did you see that?
I did, and I didn't get a chance to watch it yet,
so
but I did see that.
He basically told him, because they asked Chubb, selfless, yada yada, and he was like, look, Stefanski and Baker both told me, no mas, do not score. He goes, and I'll be honest with you, I turned the corner, I made that move, and I was gone. He goes, and it wasn't until about the 10-yard line that I thought, oh no, I'm not supposed to score. He goes, so I'm a big guy and I'm going full steam. He's like, so I can't just pull up within 9 yards and kneel. So I just knew that I couldn't score, so I just ran out of bounds.
How long was that run?
40 something, I think, right?
Oh, look, this is interesting.
But but it was really funny, like when he said that, because he said he legit forgot that he wasn't supposed to score until he hit the 10-yard line. It was like, oh shit, and then it was like, I got to just run out of bounds.
So this is the interesting thing. I want to make sure I know how I want to say it was like 59 yards. Nick Chubb. Give me the box score. Long, there we go. Perfect. They do 59 yards. Okay.
Wow, 59.
So fundamentally, the guy's not wrong. So first of all, how funny is this? That Baker and Stefanski are like, we're gonna hand the ball off to Nick Chubb, and they had the foresight to go, there's a good chance he might score. To both of them remind him, they're 60 yards away from the end zone, and they're like, hey, Nick, don't score. Like 60 yards away from the end zone. And then he's like, all right, yeah, I guess I shouldn't score.
I still can't get over that move.
Oh, American Saxon's here. What's going on, dude? A Carrot says 59, 60 if it was a touchdown. 59. I was sitting there and I was just like every time Nick Chubb does something like that,
Yep.
I was just in disbelief for a second, and I was sitting there and I was like, when he broke off the run, I was, my dad's sitting next to me. I'm grabbing his arm, I'm shaking his arm. I was like, I think we're gonna win now. And it's just because we're so not used to having those big, home run moments. But
Right.
with Nick Chubb, there's a girl that I work with who went to Georgia and was there when Nick Chubb and Sony Michel and all those guys were there, and I was like, I I physically love Nick Chubb. Like, and my mom, who doesn't know anything about anybody, she doesn't know anything about football. She's like, that Nick Chubb, he's a really nice guy. She's like, he's so humble and blah blah blah, and I'm like, yes, he's just not the typical like loud, outspoken diva type superstar. He's a quiet, reserved guy who's just like, I was walking the dog this morning. I was thinking about Chubb, and in this world, it's almost like a lost art to allow the production to do the talking for you, right? How many people out there are like just yelling from the sky, look at me and give me a chance and yelling for it, and then you got a guy like Nick Chubb who just puts in the work, builds up his strength, and goes out and executes to the point where they're like, and even Hugh Jackson didn't believe in him, and Todd Haley wasn't believing in him. They were starting, Carlos over him.
Carlos, yeah.
And he might have even been third on the depth chart behind Duke Johnson at that point. Yeah. And they were like, no, we're gonna do it. I think American Saxon says, make a t-shirt called the Chubbinator. Okay. I just want to make a t-shirt that says, my mom says Nick Chubb is a nice guy. I think people would buy that one. We should be putting out some new merch here soon in a little bit. We did have some people actually buying the blocked by Mary Kay and blocked by Grossi. So I did get confirmation that the people are actually buying those shirts. So as funny as that is, I am now in the t-shirt selling business apparently. Oh man. Yeah, no, but Nick Chubb is legit, and I think he's a Hall of Fame running back.
Yeah.
I have the nose for these sorts of things. And I think if he can stay healthy, I think he can be a Hall of Fame running back. First Hall of Fame running back we've had in a very long time. Although Eric Metcalf is actually on the ballot. Yeah, he's somewhere in the mix potentially. I think Metcalf should get it. Just as to have, if you just look at, is he still, or is he's got to be very close to the all-purpose yards guy. At least he was in his generation.
Yeah, in his generation. I don't know about now. I mean, you look at the numbers, return numbers that Cribbs put up too. I mean, he might be worthy.
Cribbs. So, and who was the other guy? There was Cribbs. There was the dude for the Chiefs, who was a return god. God, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
The dude who used to always go like this when he's X.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Somebody's got to know in the chat.
Yeah, chat. Try to see if you can remember, because he was like the guy who was up against Cribbs for like the top return guy.
Hey, you want to laugh?
No, it wasn't Travis Benjamin. I think Travis Benjamin might still be in the league. No, he can't be in the league.
No, I have a pair of his autographed
underwear,
gloves.
I got a pair of his draws.
You know what's funny is you were talking
Dante
about
Hall, Mario G guy, Dante Hall. That was a guy.
Yeah, you were talking about seeing Fernando Valenzuela, and I was thinking back like when I was a kid, like some of the games that I was at, and I saw Dwight Gooden and Greg Maddux in Chicago. My God. And I have to tell you, I saw some great pictures growing up.
Dwight Gooden was my favorite player. Was my favorite player growing up.
I got to tell you, Mike, to this day, I have never, and I mean that was in his heyday. I mean that was like 87, I think it was the year.
Oh, he
And
was deep into the cocaine at that point.
oh yeah, and the one thing that I could literally think about it and visualize a the speed in which his fastball came off his hand
Mm.
was was a sight to
Well,
see
compare
back
if you were
then.
watching Maddox. So
Yeah, well,
Maddox,
but
who had like an 83-mile-an-hour fastball, versus
yeah,
Doc Gooden.
just throwing smoke. And then the other thing is I have yet to ever see somebody else break off a curveball like Doc Gooden. Like I mean, it was a sight to see. Like I'll never.
He really only had, I think Gooden only had 3 pitches.
And
He
they
had
were three good
he had
ones.
a monster fastball. He had a
Yep.
slider, and
Hmm.
he had a change, and that's all it took.
I mean, it was like it just dropped off the table.
And
It was,
but here's the funny thing. Even with all the cocaine, even with all that stuff, coming
yeah,
back and then going to pitch for the Yankees, and he had
a
a
no hitter.
no hitter for the Yankees.
Yep.
Um, it's funny. I keep thinking about some of the pitchers like that I've seen play in my time. I saw Pat Mahomes pitch for the Mets. The
Wow, that's going
actual
back.
Pat Mahomes.
You know what you would love? Do you know? Because I mean, you know that I was that I, New York is where my life journey started. But my first baseball game ever
Hmm.
as a little guy was Shea Stadium. Lee Mazzilli was a rookie, and Rusty Staub was at first base.
82.
Yeah, I think maybe even earlier. It might have been 79, maybe.
Yeah, sometime in that. It was definitely before the Strawberry era,
Yep,
Strawberry and Gooden era.
yep,
Lee
right
Mazzilli
before.
was kind of like the guy.
He was. I remember. Yeah, I remember that like it was yesterday. They were playing the Braves.
Who was pit? Do you remember who was pitching?
I think it was Nolan Ryan actually.
Couldn't have been Nolan Ryan.
It was no,
He was gone right after the World Series in '69.
not Nolan Ryan. It was
Oh, it could have been if you were playing the Astros.
yes, yeah. No, they were playing the Braves. It wasn't Nolan Ryan. It was their who's their other good. I'm not a Met fan, but who was their other good pitcher?
Uh, it could have been Seaver.
It might have been. I'm gonna have to look this up now. Hold on, I'm gonna look this up because
Okay.
it was a big time guy.
Well, if it was Seaver, the only guys that were like really big time back then in the late '70s,
It
it
might have been
had to be.
Seaver.
It had
It
to have
might
been
have.
Seaver. It had to have been
I think it was Seaver.
because he was still around in the '80s, like in the early '80s,
Yeah,
even mid '80s. I think he was on the '86 team for a while.
yeah,
I might have. I think I have an '86. I could be wrong.
yeah. No, I think it might have been Seaver.
I saw my first game, my first baseball game, was also in Shea Stadium. I saw Frank Viola.
Oh, I saw him pitch for the Twins.
Okay, you saw. So we both saw Frankie V pitch.
We another guy with a sick curveball.
Yeah, that was when he was in talks for potentially winning the Cy Young. I think he was coming close to winning 20 games and losing 17. Like in the same, and my uncle Mike was like, you can't have a guy who's gonna lose over 15 games win the damn Cy Young. And because most Cy Young are like 19-3 or like
Yep.
21-6 or like 17-1. Those are Cy Young numbers. But Frankie V was just the argument was there. The argument was there for him. And that was before they traded Strawberry to LA. The Strawberry's on the team and Kevin McReynolds and
Yeah.
Gary Carter. That was my first baseball game in Shea Stadium. And then I've seen games in Philadelphia and Boston, Baltimore,
It almost reminds me of like
all over the place.
concerts. Like when I look back, like there's some shows that I remember that Zeppelin 3 nights, not Zeppelin but Page and Plant. Like those are shows that I'll never forget. Or like the first Kiss reunion show or whatever. But some baseball games for me are like concerts where I'll be talking to my brothers and they're like, "Hey, do you remember we went to see Aerosmith on the whatever tour, the Pump tour or whatever?" I'm like, we were there. We saw that show.
I've never seen Aerosmith. The closest I came to seeing Aerosmith.
Oh, they were good.
Closest I ever came was I didn't buy tickets to it, but at Hershey Park Arena, which all the shows would come to Hershey Park because it was like a big arena in central PA, and it would just gather that whole crowd from the middle of the state. Even out to Philadelphia, DC, Baltimore would come in to Hershey, PA to watch concerts. And Aerosmith came, and we could see it through the fence. So like we're like, cool. I don't know if we want to pay for this, but we'll look through the fence. I saw Britney Spears. I saw the same way. I was like, I don't, and I'm not putting them on the same level by any means. I'm just saying like,
no.
Britney Spears and Britney Spears, the Black Crowes who came with like the Further Fest, and then Aerosmith. The one side was like, I'm not gonna pay for this. I'm just gonna go and listen and possibly see. But yeah, I mean, almost I've seen like everybody else, man. Like, and up north, it was so easy because concerts came everywhere. You go to Philadelphia, you could go down to DC, and then when I lived in the South Florida area, a lot of people came down to South Florida too. To Miami and Broward and all over the place. So
you were making me. I saw Cheap Trick at Hershey Park. That was a good show. That was late 80s.
Wow.
Yeah, I just remember. I remember.
What was your first concert?
So you ready for this?
Yeah. It's gonna be like Blue Oyster Cult or something.
This. I'll let you be the judge.
All right.
Let me set it up for you. Do you remember? Why can't I think of the city now? The Valley Forge Music Center in the Round. Do you remember that?
I know Valley Forge, PA. I don't know. I've never heard of that. The music center.
The music center was probably a little bit before your time, but it was the Valley Forge Music Center in the Round, and what that meant is the stage was on it was like a merry-go-round. So there wasn't a bad seat in the house.
Oh, it just went around in circles.
It went around in circles.
And they were in the middle?
Yeah. So like every minute and a half, like you're like, hey, there they are again.
Yeah.
And then, so my friend, his father at the time, had a connection at the radio station, and we were going to see this person because we both had extreme crushes on this person.
Ooh.
And we were supposed to meet this person after the show, but she had throat problems and only played 4 tunes and then bolted. But
are you gonna give me hints?
The opening? Well, I'll give you this: the opening band, right? People would kill to see this band, and technically they're not really a band, but it was their first American tour. And that band was New Kids on the Block.
Oh, okay.
And the chick we went to see.
I could see it's either going to be Tiffany, Debbie Gibson. Winner. Okay, yeah. I was like, it's one of those that if it's in that world.
It was Tiffany. That people laugh when they're like, because Rock or Me, like, hey, what was your first show? Like Twisted Sister or whatever? I'm like, yeah, no, it was like Tiffany. And New Kids on the
Block. Dude, when the Nuclear in like 88. I want to say like 87, 88.
When the
New Kids were at their peak, they came to Hershey, and you couldn't even scalp a ticket to that concert. I mean, every ticket was gone. Nobody was selling them. I mean, that was the hottest ticket. I put it up there with like when Guns N' Roses did their last tour and came to Hershey, and nobody could get a ticket. The New Kids on the Block in my entire life. That was probably the most sought after show. And I was sitting there and I was like, give a shit about the freaking New Kids on the Block.
I know.
I'm like, it's a boy band with cheesy pop song. I didn't care.
And I got to tell you, like, I can remember You remember the New Kids dance with the where they kick their
Yeah,
legs?
they do the back. Yeah, I remember that thing.
And I remember being there, being like, "What the hell is
Oh,
this?"
dude, I saw the New Kids when they went on their like old man tour.
Yeah.
So they did.
Oh, you were there?
They did another tour like later. Like this was like, I mean, it must have been like 10 years ago. Because I lived. No,
yeah, about 10 years ago.
I want to say I can probably tell you exactly. I think it was like 2012.
That makes sense.
No. It had to have been earlier than that, right?
Really? Because they were out for they've been going at it as old men for a little while.
So it must have. I could actually I could probably find the show. But
so were you there?
I went. It was in Miami.
So you went.
I did. I went. Yeah, and it was like Leona Lewis opened, and
what are the odds that I saw the beginning and you saw the end?
Yo, dude, it was. Well, we had.
I saw the first tour. You saw the last.
Well, I didn't pay for my tickets.
Well, to my defense, I didn't either.
Okay, all right, so fair. It was my.
I was 8th grade, Mike, at that time.
Oh, I was like 30 something.
Yeah. No, see, so I'm good.
You did see them. You did see prime New Kids.
I did. I mean, it was they were all in all their glory.
Yeah. The company I work for had a box in. It's one of the two companies that had a box at that time, and I want to say it was 2009 then, because I'm pretty sure that it was this, and the company, every time concerts would come, they'd be like, hey, we got this concert, who wants to go? Small company, only like 40 people work there, so like we could basically go to any show we wanted to, but they tried to stagger them out. So the New Kids show, fucking nobody wanted to go to that. So the owner of the company was like, hey, who wants to go? And my wife was like, she liked like some of the other opening bands and stuff like that, and I was like, well, it's something to do. It was like a Thursday, and I'm like, all right, we'll go. It was before we had kids. So we went, and I think he gave me like 12 tickets. So I went to all my friends, you know, who were down there, and I was like, look, I got free tickets to box seats for New Kids. They're gonna stock you with liquor. I'm like, if nothing else, let's just drink for free and watch the New Kids. And they're like, yeah, let's go. So we made, like, all my friends came, and we had like 12, 14 people in this box. Everybody, it was like my close friends down there watching New Kids and Leona Lewis, and God, I want to say there's somebody else that was down. And it's a very similar experience was John Mayer. So again, free tickets. I've seen John Mayer 3 times.
I've never seen him. I hear he's a good show.
I've seen him 3 times. Every time, free tickets. Free tickets to go in a box. And so the John Mayer show, and Maroon 5 opened for
they
John
were solid.
Mayer.
They were solid back in the day.
I mean, they're a radio band, whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, so is John Mayer. He's just kind of like whatever. But yeah, there was American Sax goes, Jesus Christ.
we totally jumped the shark here.
No, I mean it's funny, like when you get.
I swear we were talking Browns earlier.
So let me tell you my first concert.
Is this gonna?
It wasn't. It's nothing of note. It was like I wish I could say it was. I did see some like really cool concerts in my day. I saw Radiohead open for Alanis Morissette.
Oh, that's a good. Was Taylor Hawkins drumming for Alanis at the time?
Oh, dude, I have no idea.
I bet you he had to have been. What year? Pre Foo Fighters.
94. No, hold on. No, it would have been 95. It would have been 95. Because I don't think we had driver's license. I think we went to the show, we ate brownies, and by the time Radiohead was off, I don't remember much of the Alanis. I'll tell you that. But my first concert, nonetheless, it was John Cougar Mellencamp.
Nothing wrong with that. That's solid.
No, and they weren't bad seats. The audience was really friendly.
Little ditty about Jack and Diane.
Yeah, and he had like some newer songs that came out at that point too. He had one like, not like greatest hits type stuff, but like, you know,
Mario.
It was good stuff. I just ate some brownies. There's actually a this is kind of side note. There's a company down here that does like medical marijuana. And I'm also trying to get them to sponsor the show.
Right.
Because I have like one of their hats and everything. I was wearing it from time to time on the channel, but I want to be like, Let me get some of that weed money. No, I don't know who's drumming for Alanis Morissette.
No, it had to be. It had to be him.
Is a friend of yours, I assume?
No, no, I dig his playing, but yeah, that was right before he joined the Foo Fighters, so it had to be him on that tour.
Probably was. I could go back and look.
Yeah,
But it was cool. It was really cool seeing them, and I mean, there's a lot of cool little venues like that are like really kind of small venues that are in Pennsylvania that some bands would go to, and you'd be like, dude, there's like 200 people in here,
yeah.
and you're seeing like really cool bands play, who were just getting big. We saw Tool in a really small venue. Saw Third Eye Blind in a really small venue.
We played with Third Eye Blind. Well,
Oh
two of
yeah,
the guys. Yeah,
they were not very good live. They weren't. They didn't sound like their album at all. It was almost like their lead singer was like really
Studio Magic.
audio tune. Yeah, something.
Yeah,
Um,
we played a place in West Palm Beach. It was a cool place. I just can't think of the name of it offhand.
was it the outdoor facility, the outdoor one, or was it indoor?
It was outdoor.
Was it big?
Um, it's pretty decent. It was a pretty chill place.
Was it an amphitheater, like big, like where like big, huge bands would play? Because there's one in West Palm that's giant.
Do you remember the name of it?
Oh man, it's changed names because they like re-sponsor it every so often.
Through my old tour book, and I'll let you know.
I've seen a lot of bands play down there. I mean, since I've
But
been in Central Florida, I haven't seen too many. Because there's not really. I mean, there's amphitheaters in West Palm and Tampa. Not really in Central Florida. It's like the corporate, the corporate tours come in here, so they play at like Hard Rock and they play at House of Blues and Disney. But they have, every once in a while they have some decent, cool stuff.
Yeah.
All right, man. We've been at it for almost going on 2 hours. So
Has it been that long?
an hour. I'm tracking an hour and 58 minutes as we speak. We're doing our typical format, which is
We are.
talk about the Browns, comment on Mac Wilson and Taki for a little while, talk about some PFF scores. We can be happy because we won at 6-3. We're also going into a good. So we talked about the Browns, then we kind of trail off into some other stuff. And I got Mary. Mary actually sent me a DM on Twitter, so I got her address. I'm gonna send her out the mug here in a second. But yeah, guys, I mean, appreciate it. Appreciate the audience here on the Wednesday show.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
And looking forward to hopefully being 7-3 next week. So
And we have to be, just for the simple fact that I live in Eagle country. My neighbor's an Eagle fan. My other neighbor's an Eagle fan. Across the street's an Eagle fan. So this is extreme bragging rights for me. The last time we played the Eagles, I talked some mad shit. I don't know, maybe I was eating the brownie that day, because that was the year when RG3 was our starting quarterback. And I was, we're going to revive his career or whatever. And they smacked us in the mouth. And my neighbor was having a watch party. They had the screen set up on the deck, and all the neighbors were over. And I had to like tuck tail and crawl back home. Like, so I need this win.
dude, the last time we played the Eagles, I was really active on the Browns subreddit, and I remember calling it out. I was like, "We're gonna smack the Eagles. We're gonna crush them. We're gonna run Crowell on them." And I think, was that the year that they won the Super Bowl?
Was it? No, no. I think the year after.
Okay. But
Yeah,
I was still
after.
talking trash to those guys. So then it might not have been that season, but it was something. I was talking trash to like some guys in the Eagles, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl that year. And then for like the next 6 months, I kept getting like people at mention. Remember this guy who was saying that we were going to be terrible for boom boom, and I was like, all right.
Yeah, it was ugly, especially the Super Bowl year, because they took that stupid, they were all wearing dog masks and stuff. Do you remember that shit? And
I
I had to
remember
deal
that.
with I had to deal with that. And I told each and every one of them that they were they were they were shitting on the fact that we're the dog pound. We wear the dog mask, not the freaking Eagles.
Yeah,
But
you guys are birds.
yeah,
Just like be a bird.
on the sideline, Oz Travels, I believe, was the cheap shot to RG3. I remember.
God, RG3. It's funny. He's still in the league.
Yeah, but I mean that's where we like people get mad like if we critique Baker or if we critique like a a bad game but we won. But I mean we really are like uh I mean a shell shocked, for a lack of a better term, fan base. I mean,
Yeah.
think about it for a second. That year, like RG3 was washed up and he came to us and like we were ecstatic. We're like, oh man, we are reviving RG3. We are going to make the playoffs this year. And I
Yeah.
mean, and yet again we sucked. So it's like this is new territory
Was
for us.
that
6
when
and 3.
Josh McCown had to start playing? Was that because of RG3 going down?
I think it might have been.
Hey Ara, what's up? I think that because Josh McCown like was never supposed to play.
Was that the year he helicoptered against the Jets?
I think it was the next year.
Was it the next year? I mean, they just all
First
rolled
game of the
together.
season, we're like, there he goes, he's going in. No.
You know what's funny? And tell me if you agree. He did, man. He got smoked. But I mean, another couple of revolutions, he might have like took off. But I there's times where like I'll look back on the years, and there's part of me looking back on it that thinks if the whole DA Brady Quinn war, if you will, never happened, and they don't draft Brady Quinn where they did, and they take like a guy that would have come in and contributed. I feel like DA was good enough to start putting some winning seasons together to have gotten us over this hump that we're trying to get over now, 10, 15 years later with Baker, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
No, I think you're right. I think looking back on it, I think DA kind of got ran out of town because
He really did.
because he was never supposed to be the guy. And I would say it's a very similar thing to like Kirk Cousins in Washington. You know, he wasn't supposed to be the guy. He just, stepped up and did it when he was supposed to, and then was kind of continued to get better. And the fan base never really, embraced him because they wanted RG3 to be the guy. I think a lot of the Browns fans were in a similar spot with DA and Brady Quinn. I really wanted Brady Quinn. When you draft a quarterback in the first round, he becomes the face of the franchise, like inevitably. They're selling the jerseys. They're doing so. How many people out there own Brady Quinn jerseys for a guy who played probably like 15 games for us?
Yeah.
All said and told. So I also feel like Brady never really got a shot, because I think Brady could have done just as well as DA did that in 2007 when we went on that big winning streak. So, Brady Quinn beat the Steelers, so one of the few Browns quarterbacks that actually beat the Steelers. I think in Pittsburgh he beat them. So, it wasn't meant to be with Brady, but I also think that it was also a function of like maybe what the Browns did to him.
Yeah, I agree. I really do.
Put Brady on Chicago, or put Brady in, Green Bay or something, and like maybe he does better. But you put any quarterback, and that's what I've talked about this. Like if you put Josh Allen on the Browns, is he the Josh Allen? Having gone through all these head coaches, all these different offensive schemes, like is he the same guy, or does that ceiling potential? Is it very, could it teeter down to really being terrible And then Baker Mayfield ended up going to the Bills and lighting it up for the Bills. And imagine if we would have drafted Josh Allen. Okay, we draft Josh Allen and he's just average, right? Because Josh Allen's rookie year was average.
Yeah, it's okay.
You know, average. It's just average. I mean, it didn't light up. It didn't light up the world. It's just okay.
Yeah.
And then you put Baker on the Bills at like, what did he get picked, 6th or 7th, something like that, and then he goes on to throw 27 touchdowns. Everybody would have been shitting on the Browns for, like, you had a chance of getting Baker Mayfield, the Heisman guy, the guy who did all this stuff, and then you ended up getting this dude from Wyoming who's just like a giant animal. We would have been destroyed for that. And yeah. Again, a lot of times it comes down to the situation you put in. You put Ben Roethlisberger, early Ben Roethlisberger, on any other team than the Steelers, and ask him. You put him on a bad team.
Yeah,
okay?
He wouldn't have been who he was.
No.
If he would have wound up in Cleveland.
You're right. Yeah. He developed because they didn't ask him to win games, putting this team on his shoulder. Not till much later on his career, maybe 10 years in, did it wait for them to go, okay, we're going to actually let Ben beat Ben. Yep. You know? So, yeah, I mean, a lot of it comes down to the situation, but you're right. I mean, you think back to all the Browns quarterbacks, and everybody were like, maybe this is the guy. Maybe this is the guy. Yeah. God, I mean, there were so many of them, dude, that I remember just when we were trying to get excited about Cody Kessler. I think that was where Browns, it's almost like an abusive relationship where you're just like, we're going to get excited about maybe Cody's going to be the guy.
And you was trying to get us excited about it.
Yeah.
When we all knew he had a noodle arm.
Yeah, you're not going to transform into a different quarterback when you get to the NFL. I think you talked about it. Like, your accuracy doesn't improve when you go to the NFL. It's a faster game. There's a lot more violence, a lot more things going on. There's a lot better defensive coordinators and professional guys who get paid millions of dollars to mask their defense, mask coverage, right? So it's typically not getting better at that point, but there is ceilings for people, right? Yeah. And who knows? I still don't think that Baker has hit his ceiling either. I think if you put the right situation with Baker Mayfield and you give him consistency, and Kevin Stefanski looks like he can be the guy, is he has to manage Baker as well. Baker's still a young kid. He thinks he can do it all, and the ego is still there, and he wants to throw 5 touchdowns a game. So it seems like Stefanski's bringing him back down to earth where he needs to be, saying, hey, we have Myles Garrett. We have Nick Chubb. We have Kareem Hunt. You have a really good offensive line. I think, you don't have to win it.
Yeah, and I think, and I'm sorry I got us off on a tangent here. We were getting ready to call it a night, and I brought us all the way back. We
started talking about Cody Kessler.
But I don't know why. I have a strange suspicion that, I mean, we're going to run the ball well on Sunday, but I don't know why, but I have this feeling that this might be the game where, where we do see, 250 and 3 touchdowns. I think it's going. I think we're going to score a lot of points this game. If the offensive line holds Graham and company at bay, I don't think the Eagles have the linebackers or the secondary to, especially with Hooper and Bryant running underneath and them having to respect the run. I think he might have a big game, Baker.
I think it comes down to weather. I think
and that's
ultimately will.
And you know what? I have a feeling, and I don't know why. This is feeling number 2. I think the weather clears up and it's going to be sunny. You know what? I want to look at what the weather looks like right now. I don't know why, but I feel like it's going to wind up being nice after it's all said and done. I'm going to pull it up here real quick. Let's see.
Mario G says Baker will be a Pro Bowler. I think if it just came down to votes, he'd probably, like, from just the Browns fan base alone. Although he's still a little bit polarizing the Browns fan base. But if he gets us to the playoffs, I don't care what his stats are. I mean, that's almost like just skip the Pro Bowl and put him right in the Hall of Fame for taking the Browns to the playoffs.
So on Sunday, you're looking at considerable cloudiness with an occasional rain shower, 51 degrees, wind southeast at 5 to 10 miles an hour. So
okay,
that's not, as of right now, that's
just winter.
It's not bad.
It's just like, or I wouldn't say winter. I'd say deep fall.
Deep fall. I like that. Deep fall.
Deep fall.
Deep fall.
Enjoy a pumpkin spice latte.
I gotta write this down. Deep fall.
Deep fall.
I like it. When people are like, "Man, is it winter yet?" No. We're in the deep fall right now.
It's the deep fall.
We're close.
Put on a sweater.
And for everybody out there, don't forget, it's what's today's date? Wednesday the 18th. And your safety, Ronnie Harrison, is the 5th ranked safety in the whole entire NFL.
I just think it's just, if we didn't have Sendejo on the other side, you know.
You know what's sad? Is every time people are messed up, but every time they're like, the Browns had to close their facility. Somebody came down with the COVID. Like, everybody's like,
Sendejo.
Please, God, make it be Sendejo. Please, Lord Jesus, make it be Sendejo. Like, it's a shame.
There was somebody on Twitter today, I can't remember who it was, who, I guess the Pro Bowl voting came out, and he put a picture of Sendejo. He's like, I got my vote in, guys.
Yeah, I saw that.
I was like, all right, that's pretty. But I feel so bad for Sendejo, because you and I have talked about it all the time. It's like, he was never meant to play.
No.
It's not his fault that he's on the field. He's just the best option that we had, and that we continue to have. That's the problem, guys. He doesn't want to play either.
No.
He just wants to sit on the sideline and collect his 33-year-old check.
Yeah.
But we're
Meanwhile,
like,
he's
dude,
getting blasted.
Go play. Do you see Deshaun Watson took that? I bet you that offensive coordinators say, if you get a one-on-one and Sendejo's on it, just chuck it. We'll take a shot.
Yeah.
Just chuck it, because what's the worst that's going to happen? Penalty. He's not going to. Maybe there's a 15% chance that he actually blocks the pass, or does something to deflect the ball.
Imagine Brown's Twitter if on Sunday Wentz is looking for, I don't know, Ertz across the middle, and Sendejo swoops in like an eagle, picks it off, and stumbles his way to a pick six. Can you imagine?
People will they'll lose their mind. Well, I mean, he did force a fumble against Ezekiel Elliott in the Cowboys game. Gets no credit for that.
Look, Mario's onto something. The deep fall T-shirt.
Deep fall. This is just deep fall. Don't worry about it. Just put on a sweater. Maybe have a poncho just in case.
I could, like, when you say deep fall, like I picture it like a lot of leaves already on the ground. But like when the leaves fall and then it's like one of those, like a deep fall type of situation where
they're not colorful. They're brown. Yeah.
Right. They're not colorful. Some are wet and soggy and some are crispy.
Yeah. The trees are definitely stringy. You see a lot of branches. It's post Halloween. So it's like, it's cold. It's getting cold. You get a
little flurry maybe.
Yeah, you're getting reminded from time to time when that wind, you get a gust of wind and you're like, you feel it in your bones,
Yeah.
But it's not winter. It's not like, hey, every day you could wake up and it could snow. It's like, hey, just make sure you're wearing pants and maybe one extra layer, because it's gonna be a little chilly out there. Like, chillier than you'd like, but not freezing.
I feel like AC/DC needs to sing the song, "The Deep Fall."
The Deep Fall. I feel like it's like a Williams Sonoma like collection, like the Deep Fall.
Really is the Deep Fall, right? We'll have scents.
Yes, Yankee Candle could come out with a Deep Fall candle. The scent. Deep Fall with the mics. We're now. It's not mid-season.
Yeah.
Deep Fall.
Steep fall. That's right. That's right. We're week 10, steep fall.
All right, guys, I think we should end it at that.
Yeah, I think we got to go on that note.
All right, guys. Thank you very much, guys. Everybody who's here, congratulations again to Mary. Thank you for Lace and Ara for showing up here to help us wrap this show up. So yes, we thank you for joining us for the Wednesday show. Support Sabo Apparel, support William Ali, support Schlegel Law Firm and Homage, and join the Patreon and click the like button and do all the things that you gotta do. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Hopefully we'll be 7-3.
Yeah, and you know what? I will break out. We win this weekend against that Eagles team. I will drink from my mug on the Wednesday show as well. I'm bringing it on the show.
All right. Well, from now on, guys, if we win, we're giving away a mug.
That's it.
On the Wednesday. We're giving a Monday mug away on the Wednesday show.
Love it.
Maybe that's what we need to do, Mike. We should have a Victory Wednesday mug.
Yeah, that's true. I think
maybe I could always put that up on browniepostgame.com/merch.
That would be cool.
The Victory Wednesday, because you know what? If I don't think we'll ever play on, we're never gonna play like on a Tuesday, but like the Monday night games,
right?
You know, maybe we do a Victory Tuesday and a Victory Wednesday, just in case. I don't know what
about a Victory Friday?
Victory Friday. Because like, you know, they haven't cornered the market with just the Monday mug. What are you gonna drink? You're gonna drink Victory Monday on a Tuesday, or you're gonna or on a Friday? Why not?
Right.
Why shouldn't there be a Victory Wednesday?
You know what? How about a mug?
Victory Wednesday
that has everything on it, right?
But Monday?
But instead of it actually saying the day, that's like one of those mugs where you could write in with the chalk.
Or like a dry erase.
Or a dry erase. Yeah, I like that.
So it just says day. It just says the day at the end, and you fill in the rest of it.
Love it. Love it.
I actually like that idea. That's a better idea.
Because to your point, I mean, Victory Monday is great, but I mean, then you're like a schmo on Tuesday, still drinking out of the Victory Monday mug, when in fact, now you're celebrating Victory Tuesday.
Right.
So if you have the mug with the dry erase, every day is a victory day.
Well,
and
think about this too. What about playoffs? Playoffs are typically on Saturdays, right?
Exactly.
There could be a Victory Sunday mug.
Victory Sunday mug.
And if you don't have, like, you're not going to have a victory mug for every day, but if you can just write it in with your dry erase, because everybody has a dry erase.
I love this.
Or maybe
idea.
include the dry erase in the package.
Like it attaches somehow.
Clips on.
Yeah.
Or maybe a magnet. Whatever. Right? But
I'm into this.
But so then you've got your Sharpie, or not Sharpie. I shouldn't. That's too permanent. Your dry erase, and you just fill in. And it has the dashes, so you just write next to it, Sunday or Tuesday or Wednesday. Right? There's so many days other than Monday that it could be a victory.
That you could be celebrating the victory.
A Browns victory. Right. I think this could be. I think this could be the thing. So
I mean, how dare we be limited to just Monday?
You know what? I'm gonna mock it up. I'm gonna put it on Brownie Postgame.
Love it.
I'm gonna do it. So because I do have a Victory Monday mug up there, but it's kind of like it's not the original, because they even say on Cleveland Clothing Co. it's the original Victory Monday mug.
And you know what? You joke about it, but I have to be honest with you. If I wasn't like the first one sporting that thing, I was pretty damn close.
I'm telling you, man, I didn't even know it existed, or even that there are multiple Victory Monday mugs. So they have to be it's like the Pancake House, you know. Like there's the original Pancake House, and then there's every other Pancake House. So this is the Cleveland Clothing Co. is the original one.
It's like, now you got me thinking of Elf, the world's greatest cup of coffee.
You know, yeah, it is. All right, guys, so we're gonna end it there. I think it's a safe topic to end on. I think
I agree.
All right, guys, appreciate it. Thank you guys for the love, and congratulations for on the victory Monday mug, Mary. Congratulations on that again. Get that shipped out to you, and we'll see you next week for the Wednesday show with Mike Killi and Mike Ristano. We will see you next time, guys. Thank you very much. Go Browns.
See you guys. Go Browns.